You're a monster.
I can swallow a bottle of alcohol in her. Feel like Godzilla. Better hit the deck like the car dealer. My whole squad's in here walking around the party. A cross between a zombie apocalypse and Bobby the brain meaning, which is probably the same reason I wrestle with mania shades in this bitch. I'm posse up. Consider it to cost me a costly mistake if they sleeping on me. The hoes better get insomnia. ADHD hydroxy cut. Pass the Kabasi. In AA with an AK melee, finna set it like a play date. Better vacate, retreat like a vacate Mayday. This beat is cray cray, Ray J, H-A, laughing all the way to the bank. I spray flames, they cannot tame or placate the monster.
You get in my way, I'ma feed you to the monster. I'm normal during the day, but at night turn to a monster. When the moon shines like ice road truckers, I look like a villain out of those blockbusters.
Up to the fire, spit a
monster. Blood on the dance floor, the Louis V carpet.
Fire, up to the fire. Told him lick the balls, had him just appalled. Did so many things that pissed him off, it's impossible to list them all. And in the midst of all this, I'm in a mental hospital with a crystal ball, trying to see what I still be like this tomorrow. Whisper, dog voices whisper. My fist is ball back up against the wall, pencil drawn. This is just a song to go ballistic on. You just hold a pistol on the guy with a missile launcher. I'm just a Loch Ness, the mythological. Quick to tell a bitch you off like a fifth of vodka. When you twist the top of the bottle, I'm a monster.
You get in my way, I'ma feed you to the monster. I'm normal during the day, but at night turn to a monster. When the moon shines like ice road truckers, I look like a villain out of those blockbusters.
Up to the fire, spit a
monster. Blood on the dance floor, the Louis V carpet.
Fire, up to the fire.
Monster. Blood on the dance floor, Louis V.
If you never gave a damn, raise your hand, cause I'm about to set trip. Vacation plans, I'm on point like my index is. So all you will ever get is some motherfucking finger, prostate exam. How can I have all these fans that perspire like a liar's pants? I'm on fire and I got no plans to retire, and I'm still the man you admire. These chicks are spazzing out, I only get more handsome and
we got some things to talk about tonight, fellas. It's gonna be WreckTalk after dark. It's gonna get real.
I caught the flag, but my dollar stacked right off the bat like a baseball. Like kidding, bitch, I got them racks with so much ease that they call me Diddy, cause I make bands and I call getting cheese a cakewalk. Yeah, bitch, I'm a player. I'm too motherfucking stingy for share. Won't even lend you an ear, ain't even pretending to care. But I tell a bitch I'm area if she'll bury a face on my genital area.
This man said Rob Sanders looks like Frank the Tank. Who, if you've never seen Frank the Tank, you should just go check that out. They kind of not only do they kind of look like each other, like if Frank the Tank was Southern, it would probably be Rob Sanders. We'll talk about it. Bama fans have come so numb, they don't know reality. What is going on, everyone? My mic's a little hot right now. Let's pull it back a little bit. Hope you're doing great tonight on a fine Thursday evening. I don't usually come on Thursday nights because I usually don't get home until late. But guys, there's just too much to talk about. There's too much to talk about. I don't know that I've seen this much concentrated stupidity since the last time that I was in Athens. It is almost unbearable, but also entertaining. Is it not? Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? We're going to talk about we're going to watch this. This clip is from the Carolina Jackpot Show. And I'm telling you guys, if you're not subscribed to Carolina Jackpot, you're missing out. I could only dream of being as entertaining as Jackpot is. And none of it's an act. Like, I think I played it when I was streaming some game. I forget what game it was, where South Carolina, they were about to beat somebody. And for some reason, Carolina Jackpot, who's a South Carolina YouTuber, he's been doing it for some time, like 13, 14,000 subscribers. For some reason, he had put his number out to people, like his personal number. And someone called him while he was streaming a South Carolina game, and it messed his stream up somehow. I don't know how he has it set up. He calls the number back, and he goes, "Why did you do that? I'm going to hit you in the face with a Dr. Pepper 0." He's entertaining. So an Alabama fan called in that's completely psychotic. I don't know another way to put it. Just absolutely unhinged and psychotic. I haven't seen someone act this psychotic since the last time someone sent me something from the JOL forums. So it's kind of hard to do worse as far as just going off on someone than Kelly's prone to doing. This guy did, though. So we're going to talk about Alabama, the SEC. Bill Belichick, evidently the first reported contract was not true. I guess it's a $5 million or a 5-year, $50 million deal, which makes this even stupider. It's kind of like, when I was young, when I was a wee lad, I like to do silly stuff. I was all about just doing dumb things. And this is true. One time my dad just said, "Son, I'm tired of all the stupid. I'm tired of it." That's how I feel about college football right now. Hey, college football, I'm tired of all the stupid. What is wrong with you? Let's go through the chat real quick. Michael Butler says, "Go Jackets." Bryce Man says, "Beat Vandy." Goldfell X says, "Go Jackets." John Burns, as always, says, "Remember, winning ain't free. Send a check, even if it's only $100. We need 40,000 fans sending a check every quarter. That would be $60 million annually." You know how hard that is to say on one breath? I did it, though. I'm missing my calling for voiceovers, I think. Love that Key corrected the mayor. So evidently there was an entertaining press interview that Key did. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow night for members. We'll see. Become a member today. Andrew K, why does that Clemson fan look like Frank the Tank? That's how God made him. It's unfortunate, but true. Just when you thought FSU couldn't sink any lower, yes. I mean, it's not even, when you think FSU couldn't sink any lower, it's when you thought FSU couldn't get any dumber. Dumb. All right. Let's show you guys this clip. Keeping in mind, so I had to heavily edit this, first of all, just to even where I felt comfortable putting it on my channel. I should link this in the description. You just search Carolina Jackpot. You can see the full unedited version. I had to bleep out like every other word at sometimes. This Bama fan calls in from Illinois, somewhere not far outside of Chicago. And if you guys don't know Rob Sanders, if you let Rob Sanders just dog walk you up and down a show, trash talking, something has gone wrong in your life. Something has gone wrong. But here it is.
But
you really should watch your mouth, sir, because the last time you played Clemson, you lost by 28 points.
Yeah, so this guy's mad, hey, SEC, we beat the fool out of Clemson, and that's what Rob is responding to.
So you shut your sucker. You know what happens. You know what happens.
Rob likes living in the past. I
mean, first of all, when this guy starts to talk, I would be willing to bet every bit of money I've ever made. This guy is pretty far into a meth addiction. You can't really see him that well on the clip I pulled, but he's not playing with a full deck. This is not a mentally well person.
What happens?
Rob likes living in the past.
I do like living in the past. We can live in this year.
Well,
though.
I mean, he's a tater, man.
You
What
couldn't get in the playoffs, and Oklahoma beat you by 3 touchdowns 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, well,
that?
well,
that's something that Alabama fans just want to gloss over. You got donkey punched by Oklahoma. And then what will they say? Well, if Oklahoma was in the ACC, they'd be undefeated. If Vanderbilt was in the ACC, they'd be undefeated. So you have to go live in fantasy world. For every SEC fan or a fan of an SEC team that says stupid shit like this, you need to be petitioning to leave the SEC then. Put your money where your mouth is. If you think, oh, we just go into ACC, everything be fine. Do what Florida State did. Isn't it hilarious how we've come full circle to Alabama fans being absolutely 1,000% indistinguishable from a Florida State fan? If you really think the ACC is the answer, sue the SEC, leave the SEC, and join the ACC. And then say goodbye to the $10 million a year that each team gets, more than each ACC team gets. Again, these guys act like they're not compensated well to be in the conference they're in. You can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too, I guess, unless you're a delusional Alabama fan.
if we was in the ACC, we'd be in the playoffs too.
We'd be in the ACC. We'd be in the playoffs.
But you lost to Oklahoma and Vandy and Tennessee. First of all, you didn't just lose to Oklahoma. You got your brains beat in by them. You're not going to run the table in the ACC. Sorry.
Playoffs too, but you're not. Let's talk about things that are real, okay? You lost by 3 touchdowns to fucking Oklahoma.
I guess I didn't get
You
bleeped
lost
out.
to damn Louisville.
So what? We're in the college football playoff and you're not. You lost by 3 touchdowns to Oklahoma. You can't step foot in the state of Tennessee. Vanderbilt's laughing at you. Vanderbilt's laughing at you.
Are you going to take that, Vandy Dandy, Rob talking about you? First of all, Rob will always talk about he's on iHeartRadio. But what are those headphones? Those are not studio headphones, sir. How are you going to let WreckTalk get one? These are professional Sony headphones. You're telling me you're on iHeart, you can't get a decent set of headphones? Also, Carolina Jackpot's just like, hey, he just kind of bows out of this. I think because Jackpot has dealt with so many crazies, he knows what's coming, right? I mean, he knows what's coming.
Clark Lee got named Coach
Rob,
of the Year.
you play in a shitty.
He dog walked you. We're not talking about the ACC. We're talking about Vanderbilt. You're coming in here running your mouth to me.
Vanderbilt, no.
You can't
Vanderbilt would beat Clemson by 40.
Yeah. So there we go. Just, yep. Vanderbilt would beat them by 40. Any loss we have, that team, it would be national champions if they went to another conference. Again, Alabama, I don't want to hear anything, out of Alabama fans other than we are ready to sue our own conference and get out. That's the only thing I want to hear from you. Otherwise, shut up.
Clear to me. You're running your you can't beat Vanderbilt.
And die. Get die, you Clemson. Do the world a favor. Get die, Rob.
Don't talk to me about that shit. Beat those two teams, sir. That should be your goal next year. We're going to beat Vanderbilt. That's what we're going to do.
Oh, no. This is where not only do you get dog walked by Oklahoma, your fan is getting dog walked by Rob Sanders. By Rob Sanders. Again, I highly encourage you to go watch this unedited thing. I've made some enemies on here, and I guarantee you someone would report me for allowing this to be unedited.
And then maybe we can beat Oklahoma.
Rob, do the world a favor tonight.
Why are you so violent, sir? I didn't tell you to go and I told you to go and win some football games. You got to get all violent and stuff.
He told you yet. Rob said he'd rather do it with.
Do you not get hugs from Dad? Do I need to give you a hug when I see you?
And it doesn't end there, guys. This is a private video on my thing. He goes into, I hope that the plane crashes that Clemson takes to their playoff game. He gets into nuclear weapons, and evidently he's an expert in Russian nuclear weapons, and he's also a nuclear physicist. Alabama fans are mad. Are mad. They're so mad that they want to join the ACC, and he also said awful things about Rob's wife that he was going to do. I know it's a shame. Hey, Wreck, man, since you're an ACC man, what's your thoughts on the new OC Chip Lindsey at Michigan? He was the OC. He was the UNC OC the past 2 years. Well, I think a good rule of thumb is to not hire anyone that UNC has hired. Coordinator, position coach, head coach, anything. Because they've made the mistake for you, right? By hiring someone who sucks. So don't double down on their stupid mistake. We're talking about a team that hired that guy after he destroyed Georgia Tech's program. Why would you trust anything these guys do? Down bad, though. Here we go. This is on, I guess, Alabama.com under the Alabama football part of their website. Should Alabama join the ACC? I mean, I thought this was the conference that had pride in their teams above all else. SEC. They missed the playoffs once. ACC. My God. This is an opinion column. No, it should be called the dumbass column. Again, you get all of these benefits, more money, all this TV exposure. We would make the playoffs, though. That has to be clickbait on Alabama.com. Well, Joseph Goodman. I think that might. Who is Joseph Goodman? I'm gonna look at this because this is not a fringe opinion of the Alabama fan base. This is not a friend. This is how they feel. Just go on Twitter. There's several articles like this. The 12-team playoff is set and Alabama is out. Oh my God. The world is coming to an end. The cold winter is here. Here we go. The weather. How will we ever win with weather? But the fans are on fire. The cold winter is here, but the fans are on fire. Why are you not mad at your team? This is what I don't understand. I'm a Georgia Tech fan. I've had to go through humiliating seasons, losing to the Citadel, having a coach that was so proud of a play we made against Kennesaw State, who's so bad their coaches don't even have their own office. They rent an office space from some rundown business park in a shady area of Marietta. talking about, oh, this is an ESPN top 5 play. I had to go through all that. Did I ever blame my conference? No, I blamed my school. I've been super critical of my school before. Not these guys. Oh, it ain't our fault. Ain't our fault. It's the SEC. We need to get an ACC. Okay. We'll leave the post-practice ice cream to Coach Kalen DeBoer. The mailbag is serving up flaming hot takes. My God. Did being a member of the SEC go from living a dream to being a major liability in less than 24 hours? Why would any current SEC team want to remain in the SEC when the likes of Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Mizzou, not to mention LSU, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and Auburn, are sitting at home? This is not serious. There is no way this is serious. So you're basically saying just the college football playoffs should just be all SEC teams, I guess. I mean, for the first three, I don't hear South Carolina fans talking about it as much, even though they have the best argument. They have the best argument of being left out. But Ole Miss lost to Kentucky. If South Carolina had been in the ACC, they would have made the playoffs this year. How do you know that? Yeah, if he's saying Auburn, this can't be serious. I don't even think no one had Alabama should join the ACC on their bingo cards to begin. This is unprecedented season in college football. Alabama missed the playoff. It's unprecedented. What can you say? I mean, what can you even say? Again, all I want to hear from Alabama fans is when is Alabama leaving the SEC? Let's go look at a team that tried to leave the ACC, leave their own conference, and now is pretending like they didn't. So let's just recap for a second. Florida State gets left out of the playoffs, which I stand behind, was a total screw job, was total nonsense. All right. Then they go 2-10 this year while paying their coach $10 million to do that. Cried, complained, just did everything they could to tell everyone how hurt their feelings were. And now, this is on USA Today. After formal ACC exit notice, Florida State now says, we never said we wanted to leave. Who said we wanted to leave? Bert, did you say we wanted to leave? We was just joking, man. We was totally just joking. Nearly 16 months after its formal notice of withdrawal from the ACC, Florida State has taken a new and odd public stance on its acronymous, I can't pronounce that word, lawsuit against the conference continues to play out. Whoever said we wanted to leave the ACC? So this is a quote. We're in the league the last time I looked. FSU athletic director. So this is their AD. Mike Alford told USA Today Sports during the Sports Business Journal Intercollegiate Forum. We never said we wanted to leave. Again, there's court documents from them suing their own conference that state their exit date, which I think was August. I think it says on here, right? Yeah. In Florida State's August 2023 lawsuit against the ACC on page 32 of 38, item 151 states, Florida State be deemed to have issued its formal notice of withdrawal from the ACC under Section 145 of the ACC Constitution, effective August 14th, 2023. We didn't say we wanted to leave. I mean, again, this isn't some fan saying, this is their athletic director. This is their athletic director. I said it in the video today, and I'll say it again here. That would be like the Confederacy claiming they never wanted to leave the Union after the Civil War. We didn't. Did we say we wanted? Did Fort Sumter? That never happened. I mean, are we still in the union? Yeah, we're still in the union, so we never wanted to leave. It is equally as dumb. Nerd Stop with a $2 super chat says, Florida Clown College State, it's just a prank, bro. Yeah, we're just kidding. We should legit trade Florida State to the SEC for South Carolina. Atypical Gump says, with an unprecedented team, unprecedented results follow. We weren't close to playoff material, so no playoff simple. I don't know why that's hard to understand. And again, I don't understand why Alabama's not mad at DeBoer, their administration, for possibly making a bad hire, their team, their players. I don't really get that. At the issue is the school's media rights deal with the ACC through 2036, which according to Florida State's officials tops out at $42 million annually. Also, the ACC redid things to where you get a higher payout if you make an ACC title, if you make the playoffs, if you win the ACC, which shouldn't be a problem for Florida State. They're the greatest team that's ever lived, right? Didn't they just have a 5-star quarterback hit the portal too? Nearly $30 million behind the annual payout of neighboring SEC schools. So it's $30 million. I don't know how that. I don't know how they're calculating that. That was not my understanding, though. Let's just say it is $30 million, though. Alabama fans that want to join the ACC, are you willing to be, give up that $30 million? During an August 2023 meeting, the Florida State Board of Trustees said it wanted an exit plan from the ACC by August of 2024. No, it's not a matter of if we leave, former Seminoles quarterback and board member Drew Weatherford said during the 2023 meeting, but when and how. Again, not a fan, not a player, a former player who is a current board member. So we didn't say we wanted to leave. However, there's court documents stating our exit date and notes from board meetings stating we want a concrete exit plan. The ACC should do asymmetric payments or, pay one team more than the other, and they should pay Florida State the least. That's what they should do. When asked yesterday, Weatherford at SBJ Forum as the founding partner of Weatherford Capital, which is seeking to partner with universities in the unsettling financial climate for college athletics, softened its stance from 2023. There's a lot of potential answers to the problem, Weatherford said. Long term, it's going to be hard to compete if you're at a financial disadvantage. That's not a conference by conference issue, though. If you're not in the top of NIL offerings, then you're going to be at a disadvantage. So then what should we do? Should we sue every team that has a larger NIL offering and then say antitrust, though, which would make more sense than how antitrust is being used now? Oh, me. We asked if Florida State was still positioned to leave the ACC. Weatherford said, we just have to solve for the financial disadvantage. If we can do that where we are with the ACC, that's great. If we can't, I'm still open to the option that we need to find another conference. So we never said we wanted to leave the ACC, but we are still open to leaving the ACC. Isn't fundraising if you're on the board and you're the coach, like all these people, the AD, isn't fundraising your issue? Again, Georgia has a better NIL offering than most of the other schools in the SEC. Ohio State has a better NIL offering than every other school in the Big Ten. That's not a conference issue. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips declined to comment for this story. Why not? Jim Phillips should come out and say you're a bunch of crybabies that made the ACC look awful this year. The ACC is arguing that it owns Florida State's media rights under the grant of rights deal that every team in the conference signed. Twice they signed it. To leave the league, FSU would owe the ACC an exit fee of about $125 million. The future media rights through 2036, an estimated $625 million. Do you think that puts you at a financial disadvantage? Also, how much money has Florida State already accrued in legal fees? That puts them at a financial disadvantage, I'm sure. But Florida State's a joke. Florida State's an absolute joke. Who cries more, FSU or OSU? Right now, it's probably OSU because they actually have their state legislature making laws so they don't get their feelings hurt when people plant flags at their school. It's not only a bigger, $625 million would be, no school has that large of a debt. Cal was the largest. I think it was $450 million. And here's Bill. I got to pause this or YouTube will get mad and take the stream down. Here's him at his introductory press conference. So now it's not going to be, hey, if you're old, you're over the hill. It's going to be you're over Chapel Hill. That's the new over the hill. Evidently, he cracked a few jokes. Belichick was greeted with a standing ovation when he entered the room to speak. An overflow crowd of media of UNC supporters, including newly inducted College Football Hall of Famer Julius Peppers. In many ways, it felt surreal. A 6-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, a giant among coaches. Let's see here. Belichick, who spent his entire career in the NFL, is second only to Don Shula with 328. Don Shula 328 with 302 regular season wins, and he had always wanted to coach in college. It's kind of interesting that Bill Belichick, the first you've ever heard that he wants to coach in college is when every NFL team wants nothing to do with him. Then all of a sudden, hey, the Panthers turned me down, Falcons turned me down, a bunch of other teams in the NFL turned me down. Hey, guys, I never told no one this, but I actually have always dreamed of coaching college football. Okay. Yeah, that makes total sense. It just never really worked out, Belichick said. Yeah, I never coached in college, just never worked out. When he won his 4th Super Bowl with the Patriots, no, yeah, he couldn't have coached any college team, right? Had some good years in the NFL, so that was okay, but this is a dream come true. I grew up in college football with my dad, and as a kid, all I knew was college football. He's saying the quiet part out loud. His only knowledge of coaching in college football was what? 60 years ago or more when he was a child running through the hallways, and that's it. His dad, Steve, served as an assistant coach for the Tar Heels from 1953 to 1955. During his introductory comments, UNC Chancellor Lee Roberts pulled out a copy from the 1950s. This is not real, man. This did not happen. You hire a guy who's basically as old as the last coach that you ran out of town, and then you pull out, what was it? A copy of the 1954 North Carolina Media Guide. I mean, come on, man. You couldn't write an SNL skit any crazier than this. And read an excerpt about Steve Belichick that ended with the line about his 2-year-old son. William Stephen. Coach, welcome back to Carolina, Roberts said. Hey, guys, we got Bill Belichick. He's 73. Let's pull out this 1954 media guide from when he was 2 years old. Roberts presented Belichick with a gray short sleeve hoodie. Is he going to cut the sleeves off of it, though? The coach's trademark look. Athletic director Bubba Cunningham then pulled out a suit jacket with the sleeves torn off, another ode to Belichick. At that point, Belichick said his own gear said he had his own gear and pulled out a white hoodie his dad had during his time at Carolina. So he pulls out, a 70, 80-year-old hoodie. You can tell I liked it, Belichick said. I've kept it a long time. It's great to come back home to Carolina and be back into the environment I really grew up in. When you're little, you don't remember everything. Well, that's not good because it's your only association with college football. I was too young to remember a lot of things at Carolina, but as I grew up, you hear the same story over and over again. So his only association with North Carolina and college football, he has to be reminded about because he was too young to remember it. Boy, that's a vote of confidence for the guy you just hired as your head coach for the next 5 years, paying him $10 million a year. One story I always heard was Billy's first words were beat Duke. Well, I hope you can beat Duke. You lost to them this year when you had a 20-point lead against them. It's actually a good hire if he hires coordinators who can recruit because he might struggle with that part. Well, he's definitely going to struggle with that part. The line drew laughter and applause from the delighted supporters in the room. Belichick, 72, makes his first foray into college football after working in some capacity in the NFL from 75 until he and the Patriots parted ways after the 2023 season. Oh, man. And I didn't specify, but if you're hiring a coach for $10 million a year, you're paying them 75% as much as Georgia's paying Kirby, and I think 90-something% as much as Clemson is paying Dabo Swinney, right? So the only two coaches now that hold a national title. The only other one I think was Mac Brown, and you just fired him. For $10 million a year, at a minimum, you should be getting a verified, proving, winning college football coach with a proven track record in recruiting. They're paying him $10 million a year when he's basically used goods that no one wanted. It is not good, in my opinion. And speaking of track records, I have a good one with predicting what UNC coaches' hires are going to do. I think I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to react to the presser tomorrow. It beats working. Oh, hold on. He replaces Mac Brown, 73, the winningest coach in school history. Brown, who was fired after a 6-6 season, ended his second stint at the school with a 44-33 record over the 6 years and 131-79-1 overall mark with the Tar Heels. Yeah, their last coach coached so long ago for them, they allowed ties. They allowed ties. It beats working, Belichick said when he asked at his age. He wanted to get back into coaching after a year off. My dad told us, when you love what you do, it's not working. And I love what I do. I love coaching. I love the interaction with players. I love building a team, game planning, the game itself, working with young kids, dating very young girls. Wait, that's not in there. With energy, enthusiasm, it's great day. It's great every day to come into that environment. I honestly don't think, like, he's been told probably what the environment of college football is like, what it's like to coach in it. I don't think he really understands what the college football environment is going to be like. I don't think he really has any clue. First, because in the NFL, what happens in the NFL? You win the Super Bowl, where do you draft? Dead last in the first round, right? You draft dead last. What happens if you win the national title in college football? You basically get 4 or 5 first-round draft picks, right? So Alabama, let's say, or whoever, Alabama goes and wins the national title. They get as many first-round picks as they can recruit. It's fundamentally different. It's fundamentally different. Also, you're not going to have guys in your program as long as you do in the NFL. Again, they're all on a year-by-year contract basis. So you don't even really get to develop players anymore. The Coastal Carolina coach gave a press conference where I think he really hit the nail on the head when he's like, you're not building teams anymore. So all this he's talking about building a team. I love building a team. That's not what college football is anymore. College football now is building a roster for a year. You're building a team for that year. And this is what the Coastal Carolina coach said, and I agree. You're building the best roster for that year that you can put together. Year to year, they're almost totally different at a lot of schools. Just from looking through the transfer portal numbers for last year, each team is going to have probably 16, 17, or 18 minimum, or on average, players hit the portal. And then you're just trying to replace it with people who are as good or better. And if you don't have a massive NIL offering, you're going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do that. Or you're going to have a lot of trouble doing it. Or you're going to have to evaluate. Now, they say they have a $20 million NIL offering. And I'm not necessarily saying they don't. But from every North Carolina fan that I've talked to, they're not in the best financial position. And my thought when I heard that was, we have a $20 million NIL offering. That would put them in the top 5 of NIL offerings. But how is that even verified? In other words, if I was the head coach or AD for Georgia Tech, couldn't I just come out and say, hey, we're going to have a $20 million NIL offering. We just announced it. Who's going to tell you that you don't? Like, is there a record of this? How is this data even collected? So that's a question I have with that. He was also asked whether he would return to the NFL if he has immediate success in college. This is something I brought up. He says, I didn't come here to leave. I feel like doing it a long time. I'm good to go. Now, I'll let you be the judge of whether you think he's talking out his ass there. Because I 1,000% think he's talking out of his ass. Again, he's only 14 wins away of being the winningest NFL head coach in history. You don't think if he had an opportunity to go break that record, he wouldn't do it? And also, Bill Belichick is a known, proven, and verified liar. Old Bill's style may not fly for long with college football players. They can leave pretty much when they want. If he approaches this job like he does his previous jobs, he won't be around for long. I 100% agree with that. Again, he ran off the greatest NFL quarterback of all time, along with what might be the greatest tight end of all time, and Gronk. They immediately go win a Super Bowl. I don't have the numbers in front of me anymore. He's like 249-75 with Brady. He's like 102-84 without, which is the most mid coach ever. So I'm not even convinced that those 6 Super Bowls were his great coaching as much as Tom Brady's great play, right? I do not believe, I mean, he's just lying to you here. I mean, he's 100% lying to you. Belichick said Lombardi, a former NFL executive who was an assistant with the Patriots from 14 to 16, will serve as the general manager of the Tar Heels football program. Belichick also said he will retain interim coach Freddie Kitchens, the former Cleveland Browns head coach. I guess that's not good for old Dirt there. Yep, he's out. He's out. North Carolina has played football for 136 years, which is almost as long as Belichick's been alive. But its most recent ACC championship came in 1980. 1980. Football has largely taken a back seat to basketball, but bringing in Belichick represents a new era. And by the way, basketball, from what I'm told, runs at a loss at North Carolina. They'll make a profit off of basketball. So now, and let's just assume this is true. I haven't seen anything to verify it yet, but I don't think a bunch of people would comment it if they weren't seeing it somewhere. $5 million or 5 years, $50 million, and you have to hire his son, which is the stupidest clause of a contract I have ever heard. Imagine going into a job interview and saying, yeah, I want to talk to you guys before you hired me. Actually, you got to hire my kid too when I quit or I'm fired or retire. Is that cool? They would tell you, don't worry about it. So you got to hire his son too. Football, blah, 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 blah. The school is making a significant investment in football with this hire. In the immortal words of Yogi Berra, the future ain't what it used to be. And we are embarking on an entirely new football operation, Cunningham said. We can't wait to have Coach Belichick leading the charge for us. Here's the thing. This has got to hit for you. This has got to hit. You're paying him $10 million a year. Let me ask you guys, if you're paying your coach $10 million a year, what is your expectation? Bare minimum playoff. We need to be a playoff team in year 2 at a bare minimum. And even at $10 million a year, I don't have much leniency for you in year 1. Especially if you truly do have a $20 million NIL offering, you can assemble a team in year 1. There's another transfer portal. Like we're currently in this transfer portal. I think it closes the 28th or something. Is that correct? Or is it the 20th? I think it's the 28th. Then there's another portal window that opens like April 15th to April 27th or something like that. So there's really no excuse for him to not come in and have an immediate success year 1. If he wins 7 games or less for you, doesn't make an ACC title or doesn't make the playoffs in year 1, then it's a failure. And I agree with you. Also, you need to have a top 15 class. They're currently at 98th with a $20 million NIL offering. You should be at a bare minimum in year 1, top 25 in recruiting. Here's the problem for North Carolina, though. Mack Brown recruited top 10 classes or top 15 classes several times in his time there. Talent's not the issue. Talent's not the issue at North Carolina. So you better hope Belichick is the answer. If Belichick's not the answer for North Carolina, it could take a decade or more to recover from this because you're not going to be able to fire him. You're not going to be able to fire him. You're not going to have the money. You're not going to have the money. I don't know. And knowing Belichick, he probably has a clause. Is all of this guaranteed for him? Is that maybe that's in here? The 5-year deal runs through 2029, December 2029. It's worth $10 million per season, a $1 million base salary, and a $10 million and $9 million in supplemental income. I don't really know. I don't really understand what the difference in that is. I'm not, super well versed in contract law or anything. It's weird that the base salary is so low, though, isn't it? Let's see. Is it normal? What is a supplemental salary for football coaches? Is there some sort of... It's their compensation that comes from using their name, image, or likeness for sponsorship deals or apparel contracts. It's a large part of a coach's total compensation, which can range into the millions. So $9 million of his salary is NIL? That is weird to me. Again, I want to know, is that normal for other coaches? Like, how much of Kirby Smart's salary is supplemental? We need answers. So this is interesting. Kirby Smart's base salary is $13 million. His supplemental is 1.77. So something is odd with this. I wonder if that means they don't have to pay him this under some circumstance. Vandy, you would know about that. Yeah, it's immediately when I read this, I thought having a base salary so low is odd. That is odd. Belichick also could receive up to $3.5 million per season in bonuses tied to regular season wins, ACC championship game, and postseason appearances, ranking in the final college football poll, Coach of the Year awards, and the team's academic standing. Does he forfeit that if they cheat? Again, North Carolina cheated for, speaking of decades, a decade across all sports academically, just entering in grades for students, writing papers for students. And the NCAA said, hey, we don't rule on academic matters. Oh, wait, we actually do if it's Missouri and they self-report. That's part of the reason where, honestly, college football is, the NCAA is in such the shitter because they just completely foobarred this up by punishing some teams and not others. And I don't know what you guys think. I think they should have lost their accreditation as an institution for that. If you're cheating to that scale academically, then your degree doesn't mean anything. Certainly the degree that those kids got, does the degrees that those kids got when they cheated for a decade still hold any water? Student athlete, though. He would be responsible for a $10 million buyout if he were to leave UNC before June 1st, 2025. So that's a pretty stark drop-off in his buyout. After that date, he'd have to pay $1 million to the end of his deal. So $4 million. So he'd be responsible. Who's he? He would be responsible for a $10 million buyout. So Belichick has to pay a $10 million buyout if he were to leave before 2025. After that date, he only has to pay $1 million a year up to 2029. I want to talk to someone who knows contracts because this seems bizarre. I don't really care what he told them. Belichick said the head coach, general manager modeling he is bringing will help with the transformation of UNC into a professional organization. Well, they're doomed then. They're doomed. If you're going to try and run UNC like it's an NFL team, you will fail, full stop. There is very little similarity between college and pro, from organizational to even on the field. Again, I talked about in other videos, you've had to dumb down offenses because of this portal situation. You've got to have an offense that is simple enough that players can come in and play year one because you're building a roster yearly. That is why quarterbacks struggle. If, any quarterback that plays early in the NFL, how well's that worked for him? What's Caleb Williams doing right now? CJ Stroud is one exception, but he's an exception to that rule. So again, if you're going to try and come in fact, their defense could be as bad or worse, depending on how complicated he makes it. I mean, they have to cheat for them to pass classes. I'm sure they're not going to be able to understand a complicated defensive scheme. We'll know when he hires coordinators. If he hires coordinators from the NFL, which looks like not the craziest thing because the only person he's retained off the staff is an NFL guy. Mahomes would suck on the Bears. They're that trash. Yeah, the Bears, I haven't even paid attention to the Bears since Rex Grossman was there. When I say a pro program, I would say through my experience, what we did in terms of training, developing players, running pro systems, pro techniques, Belichick said. So when the players leave here, there isn't going to I'm sorry, my glass is broke and I'm having trouble seeing. This isn't going from the wishbone to a pro offense. Are you taking a shot at Georgia Tech, sir? It will be similar terminology, similar techniques and fundamentals, similar training, similar preparation techniques that have been very successful for me through the years. When Belichick, or only when Brady's there, though, whether other college teams use them or not. I mean, some are, some aren't, but I just know that these will prepare players for that. And that sounds well and good. And if I'm a recruit, that sounds good. But again, if you're not able to translate that onto the field quickly, you're going to have a awful time to the tune of possibly 3-9. And I'm not just saying that. I really think that could happen. Cutler, Trubisky, Fields. This is a who's who of Mitch. Do you know where Trubisky played college ball, by the way? Anyone know? You don't know where it was at Mitch Trubisky? He played at UNC, didn't he? They had another first-round pick. What was it? Sam? I forget. They had another first-round quarterback that didn't do anything. So the general manager head coach model, it's a similar type of situation for evaluating high school kids and transfer portal players. It's not, though. It's not, though. Sam Howell. Where's he now? NFL teams are evaluating college players and NFL free agents. So again, there are some similarities. There's some similarities, and the only similarity is that you're paying the players. That's the only similarity. Again, what happens in the NFL? The Falcons signed Kirk Cousins to a massive contract. Can he just leave next season and go make more money? No. If the Falcons wanted to dump Kirk Cousins, they've got to eat a large portion of his contract. There isn't this just players leaving on a yearly basis in the NFL. It's nothing alike. There will be a $10 million pool for Belichick's assistant coaches, a $1 million for the strength and conditioning staff. The university has also allotted $5.3 million for support staff, which includes additional funding for the new general manager position. Harry Legg, I agree with you. I don't often agree with Georgia fans. But all you have to say is, what is Kirk Cousins' contract? Like $120 million? It's over $100 million, I think. And then, well, we don't need to draft a quarterback, right? Because we just signed a long-term deal with this old quarterback. Nope. 8th round pick, take Penix. Is there a team that drafts worse than the Falcons that you can think of, other than maybe the Browns? $140 million. Over how many years? How many years is that over? 7 or something ridiculous? Bears have drafted pretty bad. Cleveland's drafted pretty bad. But the Falcons are in the running. Like, the Falcons could give any team a run for their money on awful draft picks. The only draft pick I can think of that really worked out well for them was Julio Jones. And we all called him crazy then, right? What was that, in 2008? We traded the house to get Julio Jones. It ended up working out. Not sure about the terms. You could probably throw the Raiders in there. The Raiders could have drafted Calvin Johnson, who crybaby Lane Kiffin wanted to draft, by the way. Who do they end up drafting? The biggest draft bust of all time, Jamarcus Russell, who just some months ago got caught defrauding a high school he was coaching for to the tune of like $50,000. I mean, imagine that. You instead of drafting, and I don't care who you're a fan of, Calvin Johnson is at a minimum top 3 wide receiver of all time. You go from drafting that to Jamarcus Russell. So you got to put the Raiders in there. Belichick said the time spent around Washington, where his son served as defensive coordinator under Jed Fish, had prepared him for what is to come. Hey, you don't have any coaching experience in college. What say you to that? Well, I watched my son, who you could have hired instead of me, coach, and that has prepared me. Also, when I was 2, someone told me about my dad coaching at North Carolina. I mean, this is silly at this point. Let me read that again. Belichick says the time he spent around Washington, where his son served as defensive coordinator, also prepared him for what's to come. He said Washington is modeled after a pro program, and that gave him ideas. This sounds like me at a job interview. Hey, you don't have any experience with this. What do you have to say about that? Well, I watched somebody else do it, so qualified. Yeah, they already got Penix. They already had Cousins. Yeah, they had Cousins signed to that massive deal, and then they drafted Penix. And according to Belichick, Washington's a pro program, so Penix should be able to play day one. Belichick also noted that he fields many calls from coaches across conferences from the Big Ten, ACC, and SEC over recent rule changes that moved the game more toward the NFL. From the 2-minute warning and helmet-to-helmet communication and the use of tablets on the sideline. As for recruiting, Belichick said he looked forward to persuading players to come to North Carolina and that he will recruit nationally. I'll be honest with you. If I was the head coach at North Carolina, the first thing I would do is really try to dominate my state. Didn't Todd Gurley come from North Carolina? Harry Legg, you're a Georgia fan. Maybe you know that. I'm pretty sure Todd Gurley actually, as a matter of fact, was committed to North Carolina. Decommitted, flipped to Georgia. So I wouldn't be super concerned with recruiting nationally day one if I was a head coach at North Carolina. North Carolina is the 5th best recruiting ground behind Florida, Georgia, California, and Texas. So you're in a pretty good spot. The recruiting process belongs to everyone, he said. Whatever helps our team, that's what I want to do. I just question. I think after 1 month of practicing under Bill Belichick, you're going to see people hit the portal. I think you're going to see some players who hit the portal and come to North Carolina in this period to play for Belichick are going to hit the portal in the second window that opens after spring practice. Dogs get some great players from North Carolina. North Carolina has some good players. They do. Here's some feet. Germany. Oh, I forgot about this. Dan Mullen is to be named UNLV's head football coach. That's a good hire for them, probably. I think that's a good fit. Not sure if they tried, but North Carolina missed on Hendon Hooker too. Yeah, I think Mullen's a good hire for UNLV. UNLV is a program that's on the rise in the group of 5, out of the group of 5 ranks. And do they have contract details in here? I actually stood very close to Dan Mullen recently when SportsCenter was at Georgia Tech. Did I say this on the show? Also, he's got like his hand on Key's shoulder, Dan Mullen does. And during one of the commercials, Key had his Zen out. He does the Zen pouches. And he looked at in my general direction. He could have been looking at me, and he pointed to the Zen pouches. And in my egotistical, twisted brain, I choose to believe that he watches the show and was saying, hey, I'm down for nicotine too. The other thing that happened, I don't know if I said on here, after SportsCenter come, Dan Mullen's like walking off, and this kid who's a Georgia Tech student, and I'll just say it, this is the nicest way I can say it. This kid could not have Georgia Tech apparel on, and you would know he's a Georgia Tech student. You would know it. And he goes up, he shakes Dan Mullen's hand, and he just won't let go for a while. He just keeps shaking it. He keeps talking to Dan Mullen. And you can tell Dan Mullen's trying to disengage and leave, and the kid just follows him. He followed him all the way, almost to the parking lot. Dan Mullen probably hates Georgia Tech now. Man, these bunch of nerds won't shut the hell up, man, talking to me about linear algebra. Kid just would not stop talking to him. It was great. That's when I should have came in and been the knight in shining armor and be like, Dan, hey, leave Dan alone, okay? I got you, Dan. All right. And then I could have been ingratiated. So yeah, looks like UNLV hires Dan Mullen. Let's take a poll. I mean, obviously, I've poisoned the well. If you're watching my channel, you probably agree with a lot of things I say, but I want to do a poll. Will Bill be successful? And maybe let me phrase it this way. Will Bill prove to be a good hire at UNC? That's a Q&A. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I've messed it up. Start a poll. Will Bill prove to be a good hire for UNC? And let's define what a good hire is. He needs to win at least one ACC title. No, he needs to appear in the ACC title at least every other year. So let's say 2 years, and he has to make the playoffs both those times. So 2 playoff appearances, 2 ACC titles. That would be success. The Crowded Booth said he was a good hire. Well, the Crowded Booth thought that hiring Jeff Collins for North Carolina was a good hire, right? So shows what he knows about hires. So we'll do this poll and then we'll get out of here. Do you think Bill will prove to be a good hire for UNC? Yes or no? Yeah, Crowded Booth said Jeff Collins was going to be a good hire. And I don't know what I could have done. You have no excuse, especially if you're like in the Georgia Tech YouTube community, to not know that Jeff Collins was going to be a bad hire. What did I say about this guy? I said he would retire he would retire Mac Brown in 1 year. I said that multiple times. The only part I was wrong about is Jeff was so bad he didn't get to retire. They fired his ass. They fired him. So Jeff, if you're watching this, I'll send you the location of the Waffle House within walking distance from me so that you can get my dinner ready every night. Get my dinner ready. Didn't he also have a Georgia guy on that looked like that kid from the Goonies? Hey, you guys. That just trash Tech for no reason. Okay. You sent me a thing saying what's hilarious to me is all those folks calling us morons for saying SMU will be good this year are now praising them and chanting ACC. It looks like you got into it with them. Same. I recall you saying it was wild for SMU to be a dark horse playoff contender and you expected 5 to 6 wins. You need to find me the one where he said that Jeff would be a good hire. Have I heard about the Mendoza cow beef? No. Let's see if we can find it. Maybe that's what we can read. While you guys are voting. Fernando Mendoza, that you talking about the quarterback? News. I see Justin Wilcox talks Fernando Mendoza transfer, says there's no panic. What's the beef? What is the beef with him? Appreciate the $5 from Zach Jones. Says, I sent that because Bryce likes to act like a victim if someone disagrees with him slightly. Is he pulling a Ben Moore? He groups all those people in the same bad guy group. Well, I mean, he's definitely had some bad takes. I think it was hyping up Jeff for UNC. He had them as a playoff sleeper. Are you serious? He knew they were hiring Jeff Collins and said that North Carolina was a sleeper playoff team. Playoffs? I'm just hoping North Carolina can win a game. Playoffs? One of the greatest clips of all time. I don't see, maybe you can tell me what this beef is between this quarterback and Cal. Will from the crowded booth, not Bryce. Okay. Well, here's what I can tell you. If someone came on my show and started hyping up Jeff Collins, first of all, I would kick them off the show. Then I would find where they live and beat them beyond recognition, which would be doing the world a favor. I'm saving you from saying more dumb things to the public. All right, I'll end the show here, but first I'll end the poll. Looks like 23 you voted. 78% say no, and 21% say yes. So, look, it's past 11 o'clock. I got to get to bed. I hope you guys had a great time. We all know Bill Belichick isn't going to work out. We all know that Florida State is an absolute disaster that can't even accept the reality of the things that they said in court proceedings that are documented. And for some reason, Alabama thinks the solution to all their ails is joining the ACC. Y'all have a good night.